Welcome. It's so wonderful to see you again for another exploration of Bhagavad Gita. Yesterday, unfortunately, I forgot to say aloud that the program was dedicated to Jerry, one of the more nourishing people I know. And that's interesting about forgetting because we're going to start going through the Bhagavad Gita again. And sometimes when we do that, we'll read it and go, I totally forgot about this part. I totally forgot about that part. How did I never see that before? Why am I just seeing it now? And when we're looking in life to make any kind of real change, because I've heard so many people say they want to change. They want to change themselves through yoga. They want to change themselves through spiritual practice. They want to change the world. But when they're trying to make those changes, they'll forget and fall back into the old habits. I want to get up earlier and have some exercise. I forget to set my alarm, or I forgot I have another commitment, or, those things get in the way. So that can be an obstacle to change. But in my personal experience, having gone through the Gita many, many times and studied a lot of different traditions, one of the big keys to change, lasting change, is not trying to change. That sets us up to fight ourselves. I'm trying to change. I don't want to change. For me, the biggest key is awareness, simply awareness. And I think that's why so many spiritual traditions emphasize this. For example, if we look at the start of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjun isn't feeling really good about something he knows he has to do. And Krishna explains how he can alter that, but doesn't force him to change. Actually, what the Gita does, if we look at it closely, is it just fosters different kinds of awareness. By the end of the Gita, Arjun really knows what he has to do. So it's not that he's changed his mind, his opinion. It's that he's uncovered what's really been there all along through becoming more and more aware of different levels of himself. So here are a couple of examples about change. Birdies. When I first started yoga, I expected to be more flexible or stronger, but the real changes that kept me going, one of them was my allergies started to decrease. And one of the reasons they decreased wasn't because I suddenly went, I'm going to use yoga to change my allergic responses. It's just yoga encouraged me to be aware. The tradition I studied earliest was be aware of how you feel now, do a practice, be aware of how you feel after, notice the change. I was like, oh, some of these practices feel so good. I started doing that in other aspects of my life. Before I eat, notice how I feel, eat, notice how I feel after I ate. And what I started noticing is when I ate certain things, my allergies were actually worse. And if I omitted certain things, the allergic symptoms weren't as bad. And so instead of pressuring myself to change, I just noticed. And when I really noticed what triggered allergy responses, I thought, do I really want to keep making that choice? And I made different choices, and that changed quite a bit, but not from me trying, if you're getting my drift. And another thing happened recently that's inspiring me to change now. The world gives us so many signals about what's going on. And that's another way awareness comes in. We have to be aware of those signals and then what they're trying to tell us. I've been having a lot of migraines lately. And when I get migraines, the pain is not in my head. Often it comes into my arm and down my arm. And I was reflecting a few days ago, like, wait a minute, what other pain comes up down the arm? Heart attack pain. No, I'm not having a heart attack. But what I realized is this pain came up when I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, and there was a lot of stress in my life, and usually the stress came from me putting pressure on myself. This is coming up this big event, and it has to be perfect, and it has to be just so, and I have to be this way. And when I realized I let go of that pressure, guess what? This pain decreased. So that's another aspect of becoming aware, is the world is trying to tell us something. It's not trying to smack us out of the blue. I really think that if I don't listen to this, I could have a heart attack, even though I do all the yoga, because I put so much pressure on myself. So I'm listening, and I'm going to see what changes as I make the conscious effort to not be so perfectionistic and not beat myself up and not create stress where there's really no stress. We'll see how that goes. But I'm mentioning this because as we go through the Gita the second time around, I'm really going to invite you to notice today how you're doing when we get through it the second time. See if I can remember. We'll notice how you feel. But maybe if you've been doing this a while, you'll notice a change. Or actually, maybe I'll tell you what, close your eyes for a moment now if you're comfortable doing so, or just have a soft focus. Notice how you are feeling in this moment, any level. Let's do our practice, and by the end of it, note if anything is different. Switch. Wonderful. So for this 5 minutes of contemplation, meditative practice, it can be tempting to think I really have to pick a certain meditation, and we put pressure on ourselves, working out really hard to change. Just be aware today, and that's aware of whatever. You can be aware of sounds or your body, your breath. Just feel as if you're present. That's all. Simple, but is it easy? We'll find out. before we come back together, notice how you feel. Is it any different than before our practice? So today I invite you to shine the light of awareness on even the seemingly simple things you do. Maybe before you start your car to drive, you're aware, how do I feel now? When you get to your destination, how do I feel after driving? When you're with a friend or a loved one, how do I feel before I interact? How do I feel after? If this can start to become a habit, you won't need to force yourself to change. You'll notice things, and any change that needs to happen will blossom from within. If you are one of those people who likes specific ideas for becoming more aware and present, if you look down below in the summary, there's a link to an upcoming free event for those of you in the Cleveland area, a free live event on the shores of Lake Erie. I Meditate Cleveland, a group of meditative teachers coming together. It's a free event just to share different perspectives and practices. And if you notice, I'm wearing my Rosie's Pizza t-shirt. So I'm dedicating this practice to my great aunt who has passed, Rosie Brest, who had some of the best pizza ever. And her stores continued to be, after her death, was taken over by some of her younger relatives. And I encourage you, if you're in the Lorain area, to remember them because you probably know them, or check them out if you're not familiar. Remember, I don't get paid for any of this. Have a wonderful whatever. Be aware that I am looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Till then.